So in 2007, I was facing the biggest hurricane of my life. I had built a multi-million dollar business. I had sold that business for millions. I was living the American dream. And I don't know if you guys remember 2009, but 2009 was when the market crashed. And what felt like overnight, I lost my marriage of 17 years. I lost my assets of $10 million. My kids were leaving home. One got married, one went away to college. And I felt myself alone, and alone in a way that I've never felt. And I found myself on my bedroom floor crying, and not at a pity party, just of why I had been a good steward. I'm supposed to be the money coach. I'm supposed to be the profit coach. And who's going to listen to me now? Right? All that fraud, all that imposter syndrome, all that stuff that we have in our head was going on in my head. And I heard a voice in my head that said, this will be your biggest victory. And this will be your biggest lesson. Get up. Do what you do. You know how to do this. Do what you do. Like, it was me. I had to pull up my big girl panties. I had to get up. I had to figure out what did I need to do. So I did what I know how to do and what I coach clients to do. I put my plan together. I had 2 clients. I had Lisa Nichols and I had John Assaraf. And I'm like, if you have these 2 clients and you can't make them win, then you don't deserve to get up. So I got up. I ended up taking Lisa's company from $900,000 to almost $10 million in less than 7 years. And what took me 20 years to build didn't take me 20 years. It took me about 7 years to rebuild my assets. Because what I did know is I knew money. And I knew the way out of my shame was talk about my story. I learned I was over leveraged. I learned that I trusted other people more than I trusted myself. I learned that I gave my power away in my marriage and I wasn't speaking my truth anymore. I learned that I'm a badass coach, and I learned that I do know money, and I learned that anyone, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So if you find yourself going through a tough time, and I promise you will, right? Because the bigger we play, the bigger the breakdown is. I want you to look at, before you go through that tough time, who's your tribe? Who's your ride or die? Who's those people that you know that you can call in the dark of the night? I don't have a lot, but the few that I have are the people that I know that I can turn to when I need that support, when I need that you can do it, when you need that, oh my gosh, Susie, you forgot who you were. Because we all forget who we are. That little voice creeps inside your head that says you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not sexy enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not handsome enough, you can't do it. We all have that. Doesn't matter how many zeros you're managing. It's there for all of us. And so I say, find those people that remind you in the dark of the night who you are, so that you can be the gift that you're meant to be inside the world.
Wow. Susie, you're incredible. Thank you so much for being so courageous and sharing your realness with us today. It's so incredibly inspiring. I know I've personally been through many tough times in my life, and it's usually during those toughest moments when it's really easy to lose hope. And I think that in those moments, in those crossroads moments of our lives, and how we utilize them, how we look at them, they can either be the vein of our remaining existence, and we can always be a victim to some of those challenges that we face, or they can be an opportunity for growth and learning and impact. And you've clearly done that. So thank you for being who you are and so courageous. And I know Franco gave an intro at the top of the show, but just to do it again, Susie does absolutely amazing work. So you are a profit coach and just a serial entrepreneur. You've been doing it for decades, all of your career. And before we got mic'd up, you told me you didn't go to college, and you just kind of had a rogue approach to building your businesses. You've built 2 $10+ million businesses. You've lost it, you've regained it, and now you're supporting eager entrepreneurs and creating and growing their businesses, as well as creating sustainable financial abundance, which I think is something that all people want in some way, shape, or form. So You're amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I just wanted to kind of dive in and ask you, I guess, some follow-up questions
Yeah.
as well as dig a little bit deeper into some of the work that you do. So we can share some of the amazing value that you provide to everyone around you, to the listeners of Are You Being Real today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, in my office, I have this big wealth is your birthright over, on the other side of where my desk is. So I can remind myself daily that it truly is our birthright.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for the chosen, it's not for the few. I think that's what I love about being an entrepreneur. I'm 100% responsible for what is and what isn't, right? There's no sprinkle fairy dust. There's no magician. There's no magic potion lotion. It's just, your plan, your strategy, your tenacity. And I got that early on, right? I got that early on building business. I was a single mom trying to figure out how to feed my babies and, pay for their private school and their tennis shoes. It was back in the day where LA Gears were big.
Okay.
So I had to hustle, right? I had to hustle muscle and figure it out to go, I knew I grew up really poor. And I don't mean the kind of poor like you didn't know you were poor. We knew we were poor. We were, we would go school shopping at the yard sales, right? There was 9 kids. There was Bobby, Ronnie, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie, right? And we had 1,200 square feet, 2 bedrooms. My dad converted the garage into a bedroom for he and my stepmom. And, we didn't eat breakfast, didn't even know that was a thing because we just didn't have breakfast. Right. So it's just interesting how that shaped me and in a good way. Right. As a kid, I could say we struggled, but it taught me that if I wanted something, I got to go get it. Right. So I started working early. I'm cleaning houses. I'm, washing people's windows. I'm doing yard work because in all fairness and truthness, this is going to be real.
That's how we like it here.
With 9 kids, everything was hand-me-down. And I mean everything. So we had hand-me-down underwear. And I did not want to wear somebody's nasty drawers. Yeah, so I would get a job so I could go to the store and buy myself underwear. I'm still a big underwear freak. I was trying to figure out, why am I such an underwear freak? But it's because I had hand-me-down underwear. Yeah. And as soon as I could figure out how to make $1, I'm like, I am buying me some underwear because I never want hand-me-down underwear again, right? It's so silly, but that drives me to go, I didn't want my kids to grow up that way. I didn't want, I wanted something different and I didn't know what it was, but I just knew there was something different. There had to be something different than just this. And my dad did the best that he could do inside of what he had. And it taught me a lot. And it gave me the roots of being an entrepreneur.
While I'm sure incredibly challenging and frustrating at times, especially in school and seeing, the level of resources and, wealth your family had in comparison to others, I imagine how tough that was for you, but also what a blessing to be able to start learning those lessons at a young age, which I'm sure, really helped you out as you became a full-fledged, professional entrepreneur after school. Right.
Well, we really grew up in the ghetto. We were in the Hispanic ghetto. We were a small border town next to Mexico. So I didn't see wealth, right? I didn't really see. I was in 7th grade and I remember going to Joni Ring's house. And Joni Ring lived in the good part of town. She had a 2-story home. She had her own bedroom and everything was white. I'm like, what? And everything in my house was brown because you have 9 kids, 11 people, everything's brown. So I go into this white house and I'm like, wow, it's so pretty. And that was my first experience of, oh, there are other people not like me. Because everybody else in our community lived the same. There wasn't, I didn't know wealth. I didn't know outside of watching TV, and, Dallas and Knots Landing and these, shows back when I grew up to go, that was my interpretation of wealth, right? So it allowed me to see something different and a possibility.
Wow. Beautiful perspective there. Susie, I'm curious, since the show is all about being real and you were so real here at throughout the whole episode so far, I'm curious to know what role authenticity plays for you in business and how important is it? Where is maybe the line as to what should be shared and what shouldn't be shared? Curious to hear your take.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of work on myself. After I've been divorced twice and after my first marriage, it was abusive, right? I grew up in an abusive environment. I thought love was yelling, screaming, hitting, right? That to me, that was love. And after I left that relationship and I left for my life, I felt like either I was going to kill him or he was going to kill me, right? Because I'm 5'2", and back then I was probably $120, right? I thought I could kick his ass. He was 200 pounds, this big burly man with muscles, and so I'm like, one of us is going to kill each other. So I got into counseling and therapy and realized that that's not what love is. And so for 30 years, I've been working on myself, because your net worth will only go as high as your self-worth. And obviously I had no self-worth. I didn't love myself. I didn't value myself. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't even know what that meant. I grew up in a household that there were no boundaries. 9 kids, there's no boundaries, right? So I had to really learn how to be honest with myself. And then going into this business called coaching, one of my coaches said to me, Char Spiritos, just a brilliant, brilliant woman. She said, Susie, you honor the dignity of the human spirit when you call people on their stuff. If you're not willing to go there, don't go into this business. You have to be willing to lose it all to get it all. But it can't be about you. It can't be for manipulation. It can't be to disempower someone. It can't be to have yourself feel better. It has to be about truly, how do I give to you and pour into you and show you what you can't see so that you can be the person you knew that you can be. So authenticity is my life and my business. I have to surround myself with people that are willing to say, you're getting a little too full of yourself, or, you're buying the press, or, you're coming off being this way, harsh. I can be very direct, which there's another name for that. So you can be a bitch, apparently. And so I have to surround myself with coaches and people that are willing to tell me the truth so that I can be that for my clients. It moves me when I can help clients like that to go, I got you. And what you're up to in the world is bigger than your circumstance. Your circumstance is a moment. Right? What you're up to, your mission, your passion, your values. We're all here and we're put on this earth to do something. My gift from God is my life. My gift back from God is what I do with my life.
Wow. That was amazing. And I definitely wanted to get into finding our gifts, owning our gifts, sharing our gifts in a second here. There's so much to unpack from what you just said. It was all so good. And I appreciate your realness and how you use that realness to convey sometimes messages that can be tough to hear sometimes. Yeah. But, I think that the importance of being real is amazing for us to own our own gifts and to develop our own gifts, to be real about where we're getting in our own way. And then by sharing realness with others, we then create the gateway for connection, which is what makes us human and makes us not feel alone. So I thought you really beautifully articulated all those points in what you shared. You also talked about how self-worth is key to net worth. Yes. And you're a profit coach. Yes. So I was really excited to talk to you about this because, we all have money or need money to live in this civilized society that we live in today. And I think you have an awesome money mindset. And so I wanted to ask you why you think that wealth is a human birthright, and a tip or two in terms of how to cultivate a healthy, abundant money mindset.
I've done a ton of work around this. And I didn't create myself the profit coach, my clients did, right? I think that's the highest compliment.
Yeah.
Is I have the ability to see money where others can't. And I have a money mantra. I have a money vision. I have a money purpose, right? And it's all written out and all detailed. And I have a prayer that I do every day. And for me, abundance is not just money. Money gives me choices. Money gives me freedom. You can always use more, right? There's always another level to get to, wherever level that you're at. And so we get to choose. And I think that's what I love about our country, is because we are capitalists, that we get to earn the money that we choose. It's not, I'm an entrepreneur because I'm not a good employee. I'm too creative and nobody is the boss of me. Ask my ex-husbands, nobody's the boss of me. And in I get to decide. And statistically, I should not be where I'm at. I should not be where I'm at financially. I should not be where I live. I've traveled all over the world. I have experienced the best life has to offer. And it's because I chose it. I chose it. And then I studied it. You know, money is a masculine energy. And I had not really good men role models in my life. I had abusive role models. In my youth, I would make money, but I would lose money, right? Meaning I'd spend it all, right? I loved shopping. I loved shoes. I was validating myself.
Red shoes.
Right. Red shoes, right? Yeah. I was validating myself through things, right? Validating myself through feeling good, like if I purchased something, or validating my worth. The more money I'd make, I thought my dad would be proud of me, right? The more I achieved, I thought my dad would be proud of me. And the opposite occurred. He wasn't proud of me at all. He said I was bragging, and that, why are you so materialistic? And I'm like, oh, I can't win. I don't even know what to do. Yeah. So I went into therapy to figure out what is this. And I had this great therapist that said money's a masculine energy, and until you get complete with your dad and the relationships with your men, you'll never create the abundance that you want. Now that was on a fluke, right? That wasn't like I didn't go into this money thing. It just connected with me. And I did a lot of healing, and I did a lot of forgiving around him. And I did a lot of forgiving for what he didn't know. Like when I look at my parents, my mom was, when she had me, she was 16. When she had my sister, she was 13.
Wow. And where do you fall in the order of 9?
There's 2 under me.
Okay.
Right. So my biological mom, so the way the family is my biological mom had 3. My stepmom had 5, and then my dad and my stepmom had 1. And then we all came together, right? So my mom left. I was 5, and she dropped me off at my dad's and said, I'll be back. And I waited for her to come back for years. I would sit on the porch waiting for her to come back, and she never came back. And so as a mom, and I always had to prove I was good enough. I always had to prove that I was worthy. I had to prove I could do it because I just wanted the love. I just wanted the validation. And I saw that if I was successful, if I had these things, people would love me. And that's not true, right? Because you can have all the things, you can have all the material things and still be empty inside. And so doing the work on me allowed me to have the prosperity. Simultaneously, I wanted it, and maybe in the beginning it was for the wrong things. It was for love and validation, and I wanted my dad to be proud of me. And the reality was, I had to love me. I had to take care of me. I had to take care of that little girl that was left, and to give me the ability to share that message. Like, I think I had to experience all that to be able to really come from nothing to say that wealth is your birthright. Because there's no agreement or alignment that I should be sitting here, that I should have the things that I have, that I should have the business that I've created, that I've helped the businesses that I've helped. I've made more millionaires inside of my coaching business, that we added it up, and we have over $1 billion in financial increase by the clients that I had. So I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I decided, and because I can speak on so many different levels of coming from nothing and then raising money and learning how to do that. And I took a company public and didn't know how to do that. And I studied and figured out how to do that, right? Because my eternal path is curiosity. Yeah. And I'm a student of the world, and I'm hungry, right? If I'm going to do something, I figure out how to do it. Like, when I got married, my grandma said, I don't know why you're marrying her. She don't listen. And so I'm like, Grandma, you can't say that on my wedding day. But that's me. Like, I don't listen. I'm like, what do you mean no? I will show you. I will show you who I can be.
So much goodness again in your answer. And one of the things that I heard is there were so many things that building a business, going public with it, doing all these things that you'd never done before. Like, I know we can all relate that in our own lives to
Right.
so many things. If we're going for something and we're taking on new ground and it's uncomfortable and we've never done something before. So it's really inspiring to hear, like, you really took us there, that there is uncertainty and there is fear, and with a positive attitude, persistence, competence, you can be on the other side of that. And now it's a skill set.
Yeah.
And then, it's experience. So
I always tell my clients that,
really inspiring.
the bigger you play, the bigger you fall. The bigger you play, the bigger the breakdown. And if you're not having breakdowns, you're not playing big enough.
We were talking a little bit about our gifts, and you shared how you found some of your entrepreneurial gifts. And I'm curious to know, as it pertains to maybe your clients or what you just say to people who listen to the show, what's your best advice as to how people can discover and nurture their gifts?
I think it's getting really in touch and doing what you really love to do. Like, do it. There's that book, and I can't remember the author right now, but it's Do What You Love and the Money Will Come. Great book, right? And go, what's that thing? Like, even when I started, I was a hairdresser, and I loved making people beautiful. I loved bringing that joy out. I love when they come in sad and unhappy and they leave feeling beautiful and attractive. I loved what I did, and I made a lot of money at that, right? And then I loved teaching people, because I made over $250,000 as a hairdresser, working 3 days a week. The average hairdresser makes $30,000 a year. And I want to teach people how to do this, because it took me about 7 years to figure it out. So I'm like, I want to teach them how to do it. So it was a passion. I didn't know how to make a business out of it. I didn't know how to, like, how do I get paid to do this? I didn't know how to do that. But I loved giving them, like, do this, you get this. Do this, you get this, right? Do this strategy, you get this. And so it's really finding what's that thing you love doing that you would do for free. Because when you would do it for free, then we figure out how to monetize it. To go, whether it's, for me, speaking, coaching, transforming people's business. For you, it's getting people to be authentic and real, to have that connection, right? For you, it's love. Like, you just light up when you talk about love. It's just all in your being. For someone else, it's caring for animals. Like, I have a client that talks to animals. Like, that's her job. She talks to them. Amazing. And they really talk to her back. It's bananas. Yeah. Right? But it's like, she loves it. And then to figure out how to monetize it. Because in the monetization, right, that's where people go, they don't know how to do.
Right. And like, you say that money is everywhere. Money's it's all around us.
Everywhere. Right. You just have to look, and you have to know what you're looking for, right? That's why you have to have coaches. You have to have people that are 10 steps ahead of you to go, well, where is it? How do I find it? How do I see it? But it has to come from here. Or you truly own a job. I don't want to own a job, right? I don't ever feel like I'm at work. I'm with people that love and adore me, and clients pay me well for what I do. I get to play with people like you, right? We get to have these amazing conversations. I get to speak on stages with thousands of people, and then I get to get off stage and go talk to everyone, and it's fun. It's hard. It's hard and grueling, and there's the other side to it, but it is so much fun. And everyone should have that. Like, it breaks my soul when people say they hate their job and they got to go work for the man, whoever the man is. Well, then quit working for the man. Go work for yourself, right? You be the man. You be the woman. To go believe in yourself. Like, if you look at any great jockey, right, in any great horse race, people think it's the horse. It's not the horse. It's the jockey. The jockey steers the horse. The jockey takes care of the horse and guides the horse. And I'm the jockey. Like, I'm going to bet on me. I'm not going to bet on something else, right? To go, oh, okay, I know I can do this. Now, I have 3 financial coaches, right? I have a tax coach. I have a personal development coach, or we call them therapists, right? I have a fitness coach. I have a spiritual coach. Now, I don't have them all at the same time, right? That would be cuckoo. I'd be in therapy all the time. But I plug in when I need to, right? To go, what do I need now? What's this next season that I'm in and what's that skill that I need to develop to get me through the next season?
All great athletes, all great leaders, all have coaches. And there's more and more coaches that I think are coming onto the scene. From my experience, I still see resistance in the public to this idea of hiring a coach. And I look at coaches a lot. I think a lot of coaches like to down talk other coaches.
Right.
And to me, like having a coach is invaluable.
Right.
So
Find the right one.
I totally agree with you on
Yeah.
that.
Well, Tom Landry, the Cowboys coach.
Oh yeah, Landry. Yeah.
Tom Landry said it best. A coach will tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
A coach will show you what you don't want to see, so that you could be the person you knew that you could be. Like, that's a good coach.
That is a good coach.
I don't want someone just agreeing with me. I have employees or team members. I want someone that's going to challenge me, that calls me forth, that makes me play bigger, that, pushes the envelope a little bit.
Totally. And for me, a big piece of it is it's not only saying and conveying a certain message, it's conveying it in a way that really resonates with me.
Yeah.
Where I mean, for me personally, I know some people just love tough love.
Yeah.
They like just to be told how it is,
Right.
Argumentative. And for me, I like to be told in a loving way where someone sees the greatness in me and invites me into my own vision.
Right.
That's personally the kind of style that works for me best.
Right. I think that's a great coach, right? They leave your dignity intact.
Mm-hmm.
They leave your humanity intact. They're loving you through your breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And loving can be a gentle nudge.
Mm-hmm.
Loving can be a hug. Loving can be identifying it. Like with my client, loving was identifying. Now, there's times with her that I'm stern, but that's not what she needed at that moment. At that moment, she needed someone to get on the knees with her to go, I get you. I feel you.
Empathetic.
You're not alone. We always want to know we're not alone, right? I'm on the right path. I'm doing a good job. But you've got to have someone that has the acumen.
For sure.
That can do that.
For sure.
And that has earned the credibility and the right. Because I believe the industry is kind of saturated. So you have to do your due diligence.
For sure.
So do your due diligence and find the right person.
Well said. I had one more question before we get into kind of the latter part of this interview here. You have a book coming out.
I do have a book
you
coming
do,
out.
from
I'm so
from bootstrap
excited.
to big time.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the book and what we can expect.
Oh my gosh. We are right now negotiating with several publishers, which is very exciting. We want to make this book a big splash. This is number 9 for me. But what's really great is it's number 1 in the entrepreneurial space.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about that. And I've been waiting and waiting to publish it because I know what it takes to publish a book, right? And I'm a really good student. I think I'm a great speaker, a great coach, a great leader because I'm a great student. And what I love is I want you to show me it. Here's it. Do this. Get this. That's how I love to learn. So this book is my journey from bootstrapping, my very first business. I bootstrapped. $1 went in, 50 cents went to me, 50 cents went to grow the business, and built a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And then I teach my clients to do that. Most clients are bootstrapping. And so it's from your sales, your marketing, your operations, your finance, what's the systems, what's the structure you have to put in place to build a financially prosperous business. And prosperous is profitable, right? Profit's not a dirty word. And profit is not your paycheck, what's left over, because we all know as small business owners, there's nothing left over. So it's really planning for your profit and planning for your paycheck and planning. Like if we're making less money than we would at a job, then go get your job back, right? We should be making more money, having more freedom, having the things that a job can't give us. So the book is all wrapped around that. And I tell stories about me. I tell stories about clients, so hopefully you see yourself in some of those stories. Because come on, let's face it. Sometimes business, poke your eye with a needle, finances, people are like, but it's really fun. And if you can see a way that you can have a breakthrough around that by somebody else's story, then I've done my job.
Can't wait to read it when it comes out. So excited to hear how things continue to unfold with the publishers and you finding the right partner.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you a few colorful questions before we wrap up this interview here. One question I'm curious about is you're a lifelong learner. You said you're a great student just a second ago. Yes. And I'm curious, what are you really curious about learning about right now?
Oh, so right now, I am in 2 seasons, right? So I just hired a new therapist and she's an intuitive therapist. And I have worked on my baggage, if you will, on a very ontological level, on a very linear level, and I understand what happened. I understand that, my mom left because my mom left. and she had her own history and story about why she left. And so logically, I have processed that. I can talk about it. I can cry about it and then get off it. And I have forgiven her. But there's a piece in me that is the emotional side and the vulnerable side that I don't let people in. And I'm still guarded and I'm still protecting. I don't like to feel. And that doesn't work for me. I want to feel. It's hard for me to feel the joy, and it's hard for me to feel the pain because I've just shut that off. So I'm in a season of I want to feel it differently. Ontologically, I get it. And I can justify it. But feeling wise, which is scary, right? Because it's a dark place. It's like, oh, I've done so much work. I don't want to cry anymore. And the reality is, I think there's a beauty on the other side of that. For my children, for my grandchildren, for me as a woman, to go, this is a new season. So I'm in that space of curiosity.
You're so rad. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was so real and cool of you to share. And I think that is something that is real for all of us in terms of feeling the feels,
right.
You know, the good, bad, the ugly, however we want to judge it, because that's ultimately what it is. But I know for me that there'll be times and maybe weeks, or there were even years where I didn't cry.
Right.
And I think I was like really curbing my enthusiasm and joy. And a lot of it was just to protect myself so I wouldn't have to feel any pain.
Right.
And then I kind of started crying again.
Yeah.
And now whenever I cry, I am actually excited about it because it means I'm actually in touch with my emotions and my feelings. So I look at that, like when I cry, I'm like, yes, good. Yeah. Like this is like a moment where I'm actually connected to my truth versus maybe disconnected from it. So I do workshops on the art of kindfluence because I believe that anytime we have any interaction with any other human being, we are having an influence. I know that the word influencer is kind of overused, and I think right now it's in relation, the context is used for social media and power or size you're following. But in reality, we're all influencers because every time we interact with anyone, there's going to be some sort of impact, whether it is neutral, whether it is negative, or whether it's positive. So I'm curious to know if there's like a kind thing that you love to do that listeners of the show can try at home.
Oh my gosh. So I met Halise Bridges when I first started speaking. And I wasn't a trained speaker. I just wanted to get back to my industry. And I met her. I read the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. And she has a story in there that says who you are makes a difference. And she has these little blue ribbons that say who you are makes a difference. And having a long relationship with her, she taught me how to honor and acknowledge people. And so one of my things that I innately do, and one of the things that she really taught me to do, was honoring the dignity of the human spirit and stopping to be with another individual and honor them for the greatness that they are. And to do it I took it on as a ceremony at first because it was not a natural skill that I would think it, but I wouldn't necessarily know how to say it. Right? Where you really just stop and be present with another human being and then just find that one thing that is amazing about them and tell them. Whether it's the cab driver, whether it's the bag porter that helps me with my luggage, whether it's my children, whether it's my significant other or my girlfriends, it's just to stop and say, who you are, Mark, makes a difference for me. And why you make a difference for me is first, you're a love bug. You are so generous with your love. I felt it the moment I walked in and the moment I saw you. And the second thing I appreciate about you is just you have this amazing way of pulling gems out of people in a safe environment, in a loving environment, so they tell their truth. Like that's a skill set, right? And just to declare that. So to me, that's one of my skills, one of my gifts that I give people is just stop and see them and tell them and acknowledge them for the greatness that they have.
Thank you, Susie. I appreciate and I receive that. And also selfishly glad I asked the question. I did not know it was going in that direction, but I really appreciate it. And I mean, that's the exact concept of Love Bomb, the app that I'm building to create, easy ways with our smartphone to love up on each other and just acknowledge each other. Because, life is hard. There's unlimited potential to love. And I think that seeing people for who they are is one of the greatest gifts that you can give them, and it's free.
Right.
So next question for you. I really wanted to ask you this one because you didn't go to college. So I'm curious to know your take on, should people go to college? Should people, get advanced degrees?
So there's two philosophy, right? I believe that it's if that's your path. Now, I didn't go to college, but I have a ton of education. So I am, and it came from me being, a single mom, raising two little kids and trying to figure out how to make money. So I would go to a bookstore and I would devour a marketing book. I would devour a finance book. I would devour a legal book, right? I got sued by an employee. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a business law class. Like, what do I need to do? Right. So I'm a lifelong learner, right? So education is incredibly important to me. How you get it is another thing. So I have one daughter that's an entrepreneur. She's a medical esthetician, and she was horrible in traditional school. Horrible. Then I have another daughter who has a degree from Harvard and a degree from Wharton. So she was obviously good at, academia. And so I believe that it's what's your learning style. Because if I look at my learning style, I'm ADD, I'm a creative, right? I'm sparkle, what's next? And that can work for me and then it can work me, right? I don't have the discipline to read a book that I have no context of how it will impact my life today. I don't want to learn about that. But if I want to learn about it, I can devour it and I can take it on and I can learn and I'm a sponge about it, right? I love podcasts. I love your podcast, right? I love learning that way to me, right? So whatever your modality is, own it and go, I believe that, the more you learn, the more you earn. So let's figure out what's your learning style and don't think you have to have a piece of paper on the wall. I don't have the formal piece of paper on the wall, right? So I have a PhD, which is my public high school diploma.
Nice.
That's the only piece of paper I have.
That's classic. Right? That is so funny.
But I have a ton of education. Yeah. I can't get to where I've gotten in business without constantly going back and being the student to go, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn? Like right now, I have 3 online classes that I'm taking. One's on, a YouTube channel, one's on list building, and one's a marketing class, right? So I'm just constantly going, what do I need to learn next? And then my personal development side, that's always in my right pocket. Because I know that for me to go farther, I got to do that.
Oh, I'm really glad I asked that question. So as we wrap this show up, what can we do to support you?
I'll pray for you. You pray for me, like first.
Deal.
Right? Just that's the way you can support me. And really just, spread the message that I'm here to help entrepreneurs. And if I can help you, come visit me on my website at susiecarder.com. Like really my passion is to help people find their passion and leverage that, monetize that, make it profitable.
You have an incredible track record, and I'm grateful to know you now and just inspired by who you be, what you've gone through, how you've persevered, and then like how you just give it all away and help so many people out. It's so incredibly inspiring. So thank you. So closing note, what final words, wisdom, insight do you have for listeners of Are You Being Real?
I think that why we don't be real is because we're afraid. And fear leads you to believe that where you are right now is the safe place and going forward is the risk. But the truth is, you're always at risk when you're standing still, risk of stagnating, but more importantly, risk of missing out on your own destiny. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Hold fear in one hand, courage in the other, and I say jump.
The one and only Susie Carder. Holy moly, that was amazing. Moly. Oh my God, I'm so grateful to know you. One other hug.